Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. First things first, let's just talk about my hair. Yes, I know I look ugly as hell and it looks like I have a unibrow, but just allow me, okay? I'm getting a haircut probably this weekend. Yeah, so just allow me for this video. So today I'm going to talk about this book that I read. I finished the book and I love it. Out of all the books I've read, I've probably read at least 13 books this year. It's a book that has changed my mindset, and it's a business book, but I don't view it as a business, like selling products kind of business. I don't view it like that. This book, honestly, I think has changed my life for the better. I'm getting deep. Like, I know it's just a book, and like y'all like are just probably rolling your eyes like, oh, it's just a book, and like, oh, like how good can it really be? But I'm telling you, read the book, then come to me, and then you'll see like how good it is. So the book that it is the Millionaire Fast Lane. Okay, I talked about it in my last video. I'll put that here. It was a pretty good video in my opinion. I got a lot of people telling me that like they enjoyed the video, and I appreciate you guys. So I'm doing like another kind of finance video just to see how it goes. It talks about the sidewalk approach to life, the slow lane approach to life, and the fast lane. So let's just talk about the sidewalk first, okay? The sidewalk approach in this book, it just talks about living paycheck to paycheck. Yes, I don't want to offend anyone in this video because I do realize a lot of people live like that, and I do think it's a big problem. But it's the people who have the mindset of not believing that they can become rich. It's the people who think education, you have to buy education. In some circumstances, you have to buy education, okay? So if you want to be a doctor, like if you want to be the essentials, in some degrees I understand, but having a job, there's like a cap on what you can make, right? This job, it pays you $100,000 a year. That's it. Unless you do overtime, blah, blah, blah. But you're basically trading time for money. It's already setting a boundary on how much that you can afford year by year, which is, I think, is a big problem. There's no going to your boss and say, hey boss, I want a 10% raise year over year. No boss is gonna do that. They're gonna laugh at you in your face. Like, you know, inflation this year alone was 5%, and people will probably get like a 2-3% raise. You know what I mean? The sidewalkers, they view life as to trade time for money, that if you want more money, you need to work more hours, you need to get a better paying job, you need more education to get that job. Like, they just think that trading time for money to become wealthy, and they need to save all their money and put it in a savings account and think that their money's safe in a savings account. If you save money year over year, like, you're going to become wealthy. And in reality, that's not true. And this book teaches you that that's not true. Like, inflation is a real problem. Like, if inflation rises like 5% year over year, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, or I'm not saying that does happen, but if that does happen, like, you lose 5% of $1,000 every year, and if you save, you're gonna keep losing money, and your money, like $1 million now, is not gonna be worth what it is in 40 years. If you think about housing crisis, I think like houses were like, I don't know, for example, let's say they were like $1,000 40 years ago. Okay, now if you look at the prices now, it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it's not gonna stop. But to recap, the sidewalker is just someone who doesn't want to learn. They don't have time to learn money. They think education stops with college. They think how to earn money is trading time. Let's move on to the slow lane approach. That's to the people who believe they can get rich, but it's the slow lane to get rich. So a slow lane person is something that honestly that I was on. I'm not gonna lie, like I was on this lane probably a few months ago, thinking that I would work my 9-to-5 job. This was my worst case scenario in my head. Working my 9-to-5 job and trading time for money and putting that in the S&P 500. Getting an average of 7 to 10% yearly, and hoping you live till you're 60 and you can retire on that S&P 500 fund. So let's say you get $1 million when you're 60, okay? When you're 60, let me ask you a question and ask yourself this again. When you're 60, what do you do in life? Do you drive fast cars and party all the time? Do you travel the world and play sports and live an active life when you're 60 years old? Or do you start to slow down and live a conservative life? Like, you don't go out as much, you stay in the house more. But let's say your goal is to put in $200 every paycheck for 40 years, okay? So I'm 20 years old and I'm putting $100 in the S&P 500 for 40 years, and then I retire after I'm 60 years old. Let's say you do that for 30 years and you die at 55 years old. All of that was for no reason. You could be trading time, you could be trading the best part of your life, the 20s and 30s, to grind for that retirement, but then you die when you're 55 years old. All of that was for nothing. Who was all this money for? Who was it for? Was it for your wife and your kids? What the slow lane does is they trade those years hoping to live 60 and hoping to not have cancer, to not have health problems, to not be paralyzed. But it's just not something that I want to live. Like, I want to be rich in the next 5 years so I can live my life to my fullest, just in case when I'm 60 years old and I am in a wheelchair or I do have cancer, I can say and look back that, oh, I have lived my life and it's not starting when I'm 60 years old. I keep doing this. But I just want to live a life where I can say I lived a life. I lived a good life, and I didn't have to wait 40 years to live the life that I wanted 40 years ago. That is what the slow lane is about. Don't live life where there's always a tomorrow, because you don't know that there is a tomorrow. Like, you really don't. Like, I can get hit by a bus tomorrow. No one knows what tomorrow is. So the slow lane approach is stop thinking a job is safe. Stop thinking the S&P 500 is the answer. Ask yourself this. If you see an 18-year-old in a Lamborghini, and if you go up to him and ask him, oh, how did you buy this car? He will, I guarantee you that he will never say, I invested my money in the S&P 500, or I bought gold, or I bought a bond. He will never ever say that. He will say that he buys real estate properties. He will say that he buys money trees. He will say he buys assets, not liabilities. S&P 500 is an asset, don't get me wrong, but it's a slow asset and you might not make it when you reach 50, 60 years old. Okay, so let's get into the juicy part of this book on the millionaire fast lane, which is the fast lane. This book has taught me that wealth, being a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, being a millionaire, billionaire is not an event, okay? People think it just happens right away, like next month, next year. It doesn't happen like that. Sure, it can happen. It's very rare, in my opinion, that it can happen. It can happen, don't get me wrong, but it's very rare. For me, I think of, in reality, 5 to 10 years, I think is pretty fast to be a billionaire. If you bought Apple 10 years ago, it would be a lot more than it was 10 years ago. That's a money tree. You planted your seeds, that company grew, that stock grew, and now you have more money than you invested. That's a money tree. It grew into something more. So the fast lane approach is telling you to start a business as a wave. I'm using wave as like a giant wave, like Amazon or Apple or Google or YouTube. But I don't take that approach because I don't want to start a business like that. My plan on growing a money tree is my stocks, but it's having multiple trees. Multiple trees, so this tree can make me $100. This tree can make me $50. This tree can make me $500. All of those trees are making increments of income. So that's the fast lane approach. Like, it doesn't have to be like Amazon or Apple. Like you don't have to be that big to be in the fast lane approach. You just have to start something, as in YouTube, for example. I am putting this video out there because I'm trying to plant seeds, right? So I'm hoping that this channel will become a tree where over time I'll be sleeping and people will be watching my videos, and I'm going to gain wealth from those hours watched, right? That's a money tree. I also plan on buying rental properties, starting with one house, then buying another house, then buying a duplex, then buying apartment buildings. So you want to have more trees to build the more wealth. That is what the fast lane approach is saying. Build more trees faster and faster and faster, right? But in order to grow these plants, these money trees, you have to commit to it. You can't go to the gym 1 week in a year and expect to be huge. You have to commit to the gym. You have to keep going to the gym. You have to keep working out. You have to keep eating. You have to keep drinking water. Blah, 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 blah. You have to commit to it. If you want it, you have to commit to it. You have to commit to this tree. You have to keep growing your tree. Like, you can't do it for a day and then expect to be rich. It's not how it works. If you grind, you have to have the desire to build a company. Jeff Bezos, like, he never started from his garage and it just grew to Amazon. He had to commit to the company. He had the desire to commit to the company. He wanted it. He sacrificed his life to put in the company. That's what you have to do for yourself. It really is not that hard. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button. I hella appreciate it. I got a lot of good feedback on my last video on finance. I just wanted to do another video on this book because it really opened my eyes, and I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces.